JonBenét Ramsey was strangled to death 25 years ago, and her killer has never been brought to justice. For years, JonBenét's parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, were blamed for possibly having some involvement in their daughter's murder. The Ramseys protested their innocence for years, appearing on national television to tell their story. It wasn't until 2008 when the Boulder County District Attorney's Office ruled that the Ramseys were no longer considered suspects thanks to newly developed DNA sampling and testing techniques. Now, 25 years after the shocking discovery, there are still many unanswered questions about the case as experts and amateurs alike try to uncover what happened that night.
Where every unsolved mystery holds secrets longing to be revealed. Step into the shadows and discover them with hidden truths. Amidst the glittering crowns and charming smiles of a young beauty queen, a dark and tragic mystery unfolded, shattering the facade of innocence and plunging an entire nation into shock. This is the story of JonBenét Ramsey, a tale of beauty, brilliance, and a haunting question that still echoes. What really happened that fateful night?
She said, "People always think of JonBenét in the pageant costumes, but she was a tomboy who loved jumping in piles of leaves or getting muddy. Burke was quiet, reserved, and very into computer technology. I had seen him have emotional outbursts." Judith first met the Ramseys when the family lived in Atlanta, Georgia. They became neighbors again when the Ramseys moved to Boulder several years after Judith and her family had relocated to the town. Judith said, "When Burke was born, he was the absolute apple of Patsy's eye. Then along came this little girl who stole all the attention. He could well have been very jealous." Photographer Judith also claimed Burke had hit his sister with a golf club a year before her murder, leaving her with a scar on her cheek. In the aftermath of the murder, Judith found it strange when the Ramseys asked their circle of friends not to speak to police or the media. She added, "To me it seemed odd they would give a big television interview but not work with police." And Judith revealed one part of the ransom note seemed familiar. "JonBenét is still my 6-year-old blonde-headed daughter who I love dearly," Ramsey told ABC News. "I did run into one of her little friends on the street who is now, 30 and an adult. And it was a little bit of a shock. This little girl played with JonBenét at our house all the time. And that was a little bit of a jolt to think, wow, that could have been JonBenét."
JonBenét Ramsey, affectionately known as Little Miss by her adoring fans, was born on August 6, 1990. At just 6 years old, she had already captured the hearts of many across the United States with her angelic appearance, fair skin, golden hair, and striking blue eyes that sparkled with innocence. JonBenét graced the covers of major magazines and starred in various advertisements, with everyone predicting a bright future as a world-renowned beauty queen. Tragically, her life took a dark turn that would haunt the nation. On the night of December 25, 1996, JonBenét was last seen in her bedroom, tucked in for the night. However, the following morning, her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, awoke to a nightmare. At 5:50 a.m., they called the police to report their daughter missing, having discovered a ransom note demanding $118,000 for her safe return. Strangely, the amount requested matched the bonus John had received from his business earlier that year. Despite the urgency of the situation, the Ramseys decided to involve the police, even after being warned in the ransom note not to do so. As officers arrived to gather evidence, the family's worst fears were realized later that day when John discovered JonBenét's lifeless body in the basement of their home. She was covered with a thin blanket, her hands bound, and a rope around her neck. An autopsy revealed that she had died from strangulation and blunt force trauma. The case quickly drew intense media scrutiny, with the Ramseys becoming the focus of speculation. Reporters pointed to the absence of footprints in the snow surrounding their home and the peculiar circumstances of John finding JonBenét's body, suggesting that the murder had occurred within the house. In December 2003, forensic experts extracted DNA from JonBenét's underwear, which belonged to an unidentified male. In August 2006, a man named John Mark Carr, a high school teacher with a troubled past, confessed to the murder. He claimed to have kidnapped JonBenét, drugged her, and accidentally killed her. However, his DNA did not match the evidence, and his confession was riddled with inconsistencies. As the investigation continued, a detective hired by the Ramsey family named Ollie Gray pointed to a local man, Michael Helgoff, as a potential suspect. However, Helgoff died just 2 days after the murder, leading investigators to suspect foul play among his associates, leaving the case at a standstill. Former FBI agent Jim Clemente suggested that the Ramsey family may have been protecting Burke, their surviving child, from the fallout of the investigation. The case was further explored in the documentary series The Case of JonBenét Ramsey, which proposed a theory that Burke, in a fit of rage over a stolen snack, accidentally caused his sister's death. However, both Burke and John Ramsey filed lawsuits against the network for defamation, maintaining their innocence. ransom note itself became a focal point of analysis. Language expert James Fitzgerald examined the 3-page letter and found it to be suspiciously elaborate for a typical ransom note. Which usually contained fewer than 60 words. The specific amount of $118,000 raised eyebrows, as it seemed too coincidental to be a random figure. Fitzgerald concluded that the note was likely a forgery, crafted to mislead investigators. Despite the passage of more than 2 decades, the mystery surrounding JonBenét Ramsey's death remains unsolved. With each new piece of evidence and expert analysis, the case continues to captivate and perplex, leaving many questions unanswered and a haunting legacy that lingers in the hearts of those who remember the little girl with the bright smile and the tragic fate. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this story and want to dive deeper into more intriguing mysteries, be sure to subscribe to Hidden Truths and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.